What we want to present today is a draft performance framework. Draft performance framework for LIPS. And I really stress this, it is a draft. We're here to have a discussion with you. So here's the outline of our presentation. First, we will want to tell you why we think we need this framework collectively. We will want to tell you how we came about this draft framework. We'll want to tell you about the proposed measures. Actually, Caroline will do that. And lastly, we will want to tell you a little bit about the next steps. As it was said very often in the last couple of days, it's now a crucial time. Thanks, Caroline, for the reminder. It's a crucial time for LIPS. C'est un moment très important pour les partenariats locaux en immigration. C'est un moment crucial et c'est une opportunité en or qu'on a aujourd'hui et dans les prochains mois de réfléchir ensemble à une façon de mesurer le succès d'une manière systématique. Et on veut faire ça avec vous, en collaboration, parce qu'on veut démontrer avec vous les avantages et les bénéfices des partenariats locaux en immigration. On vise essentiellement à atteindre collectivement une meilleure compréhension de ce que ça veut dire succès pour les partenariats locaux en immigration. Et on va vouloir, dans quelques mois et dans les prochaines années, quels sont les grands succès des partenariats. Et il y en a déjà, on le sait très bien. Essentiellement, ce qu'on veut faire, c'est on veut s'outiller collectivement pour qu'on soit dans une meilleure position de démontrer ces résultats-là. Et on veut aussi avoir plus de faits, more evidence, pour pouvoir vraiment bien défendre le dossier. What you need to know is CIC takes this really seriously, takes LIPS very seriously, and takes the evaluation, quote unquote, very seriously. And we recently created a national working group to work on those questions and to begin to build this draft framework. Obviously, there is a huge challenge associated with evaluating LIPS. And again, when I'm saying evaluating, you should always see the quote unquote on each side of the word evaluation, evaluating, etc. Big challenge because, as it was said earlier, there's a lot of variation between the LIPS, which is actually great, and we fully acknowledge that, like it's a richness. And we will need to allow for variation while ensuring some common way of measuring impact. We will need to do that. When we report back, we need to say in simple ways, hopefully not too simple, because this is a complex reality, here's what seems to work, and here's what were some of the impact and the results. Obviously, it's a challenge because, as I said earlier, the LIPS are different from entre eux, from one another. Some LIPS are coordinated by municipalities, some are coordinated by settlement sector. Some focus on immigrant integration, some others focus on inclusion of broader issues such as diversity. The needs and the priorities of the local communities vary, in some cases drastically. Whether they choose to focus on labor market access, housing, or education depends on the local context. So it's crucial for the performance measurement framework to allow for those distinctions. The proposed framework focuses on some common indicators, some common factors across LIPS. And this leaves and will leave room for specificities. Donc, ma chère Caro, c'est à ton tour.
Merci, Jean. 1, 2. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? It's on.
It's pressed.
1, 2, testing. Okay. Merci, Jean. So, Well, considering this wide variety of both priorities and strategies among the LIPs, we've tried to focus on two things that we thought were common to all the LIPs in order to build the performance measurement framework and identify some results and indicators. So here, very quickly, you see the different steps in the LIPs process. So a process that should be pretty similar from LIP to LIP. So you'll notice later on that you can see those steps in when and how we think we could expect results and evaluate them. We've also based the performance measurement framework on the overarching goals of the LIP program. So you should be pretty familiar with those, and you should recognize those as key components of what you're trying to achieve. You can see from the left column to the right column that those goals have slightly evolved over time, but they're mainly, the content is pretty much the same. So, okay, and now here it goes. So the idea here, well, you get an overview of the sequence of results that we can expect from the LIPs. So the different phases at which results are expected to be observed, simply. So it's kind of a stage approach. And the idea here is that because the LIPS program is such a complex and wide initiative, the sequence of outcomes is a way to give you time to demonstrate the overall impact of your action and to be able to improve and adapt while getting there. So obviously the first box on top is the outputs of the LIPs. This shouldn't come as a surprise. We're talking about simply the establishment of a partnership councils, performing some consultations and research, developing strategies, action plans, and implementing some actions and assessing the results. What it means in terms of outcomes, well, a first intermediate outcome we think could be observable after 1 or 2 years after the creation of the LIP. So at the end of the planning phase, the initial planning phase. So we think we could expect partners or LIP members to be aware of newcomers' needs and to have developed strategies to address them. This in turn can lead to some immediate outcomes that should be seen during the implementation phase. So here we're mostly thinking of looking at the effectiveness of the implementation phase. So how are the strategies and action plans implemented? What are their results? And doing that in order to measure whether partners are engaged and if newcomers have access to the services they need in the community. And finally, all of this would lead to the long-term outcomes, which are also the long-term outcomes of the entire settlement program. So we would think of looking at the global impact of the LIPs on communities and newcomers. And so in the next few slides, we're going to focus mostly on the two middle boxes, so the immediate and intermediate outcomes, and try to give you some examples of sub-results and indicators that could be used to assess the progress along those outcomes. So obviously, as Jean mentioned, this list is a draft, so we will be working in the next few weeks, few months, on understanding which of those measures are crucial, which might not be, and for which of them we can actually get information, and for which of them it's impossible, and we would rather just get rid of them. So that's why we're here. We want your input on that. So first of all, if we look quickly at the immediate outcome and some sub-results that can be expected, well, first, I think we can expect that partnership councils include a diversity of members. And I'll give you a quick example on this one a bit later. Second, well, we aim for partnerships to allow for meaningful engagement and collaboration between different types of actors at the planning stage. So in terms of indicators, we could want to see evidence of collaboration in planning and establishing priorities, but also that different partners are committed to the LIP vision and to the strategy. Third, we're interested in the research process that was elaborated to identify newcomers' needs. So we're suggesting that the process should include different groups of newcomers, but also look at all relevant characteristics of what we call the welcoming communities. So here we refer mostly to the work that's been done by WCI on the subject. And fourth, we could look at the research process used to map the community's assets and gaps. So again, we're suggesting to look at the degree to which this mapping includes all relevant characteristics of a welcoming community, and also how appropriate partners perceive this analysis to be. Merci. En matière de développement d'une stratégie et du développement des plans d'action, on croit qu'il serait pertinent de mesurer, de un, le contenu et l'exhaustivité de la stratégie, donc s'assurer que toutes les informations importantes sont incluses, mais aussi la mesure dans laquelle la stratégie priorise et cible les besoins cruciaux dans la communauté. Donc, ce processus de priorisation-là, comment est-ce qu'il a été fait? Aussi, on s'intéresse à la collaboration autour de la planification et de la mise en œuvre des plans d'action, la collaboration entre différents types de partenaires au sein du LIPS. Mais aussi, si les plans d'action identifient les ressources pour réussir à mettre en œuvre ces actions-là, des ressources à la fois financières et humaines. Et finalement, un dernier résultat qu'on peut souhaiter obtenir à la fin de la phase de planification, donc on parle encore dans une cible de 1 à 2 ans après la création du LIP, on souhaite que les communautés, dans le fond, aient les outils nécessaires pour devenir plus accueillantes. Pas nécessairement qu'elles le soient déjà, mais qu'elles aient les moyens d'y parvenir, qu'il y ait un réel potentiel d'y arriver. Donc, on parle, par exemple, d'un partage d'informations ou de développement d'outils au sein de la communauté. On souhaiterait que les institutions partenaires, à la fois du secteur d'établissement, mais surtout d'autres secteurs, en fait, comprennent les besoins des nouveaux arrivants et surtout leur rôle quand on en vient à répondre à ces besoins-là. Et puis finalement, que les partenaires aient une perception qu'ils sont mieux en mesure d'aborder les besoins des nouveaux arrivants et d'y répondre. And if we move on to the intermediate outcomes, so here we're looking at the effectiveness of the implementation phase and how we can measure that. So one of the goals would be to assess whether institutions in the community have adapted their programming and services to address newcomers' needs, so looking at the progress made in implementing the action plans. Second, well, we would hope that services are better coordinated at the community level. So concretely, we can measure if partners refer newcomers to the services they need, and if, as a result, more newcomers access information sessions or needs assessment tools early in their settlement process. A third result could be that the improved accessibility of newcomers to services and the increased uptake of settlement services by newcomers on the basis of their needs. And finally, one goal of the LIPS, for CIC at any rate, is that they become sustainable entities, self-sustainable entities. So an expected result in the medium term would be that LIPS benefits from support from diverse sources, so both financial and human support. And then the next 2 slides, I'm not going to go in detail. They're just examples of best practices for a potential basis to assess success for 2 of the indicators that I've quickly mentioned. So for this indicator, for example, the Ideal Partnership Council membership, well, the expectation would be that LIPS aim to include all of those different types of actors in their councils. So, obviously, we understand that it's not possible in every community, but it would be an aim or a goal, and then there could be some sort of justification for why this is not possible. Like some actors might not be present in a community. And then same idea for the next slide. They're just different sections of a community plan that we would want to find and we think are relevant in order to build a strategy.
What we want to do now, very quickly, is to tell you what are some of the next steps. Oops. Actually, the very next step for us will be to make sure that in the next version of this deck, we actually insert some cartoons, because it seems to be the way to do it, eh? Anyway, sorry about that. We forgot about the cartoons. We didn't read the memo, I guess. You need to know, first thing you need to know probably is that a super draft framework, even more drafty than this one, was presented to the WCI board in last November. But Caroline also presented this framework to a federal provincial settlement working group. And we're with you today here to gather your comments. And obviously, we want to continue to work with you on this on a regular basis. So the very, very next step for us will be to note your comments and bring it back to the National Working Group and to improve the model. And we are also, by the way, very much looking forward to this afternoon session on measuring outcomes. We have really high expectations, actually, so quite excited about this. Maybe some questions to guide our discussion, although I'm sure you will have your own questions to ask us. So are these results and indicators clear? Are they measurable? How do you see your role in supporting performance measurement? At first sight, does it seem realistic? And to me, that's the next question is probably the most important one. From your perspective, how much information already exists to measure those outcomes? We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Nobody wants to do that. Is this model exportable outside of Ontario? And last, before we turn to you for discussion, we took the liberty of adding some material that you might wish to have a look at. Je veux particulièrement porter votre attention sur le handbook qui a été dernièrement produit par nos collègues à Citoyenneté et Immigration Canada. And you also have our names and coordinates. If you want to make sure to do not talk to me, call me on the phone. If you want to make sure that you get an answer from me, send me a quick email. I'll be more than happy to pursue the conversation after this event. And Caroline is also, of course, available. Thank you.